Welcome everyone to our 44th AIM Sports Learn Fast webinar of this year, and our 118th since we started in March of 2020. Just tons of different topics we've been covering, and this one is another one. We're really pleased to have Emiliano back with us again today, and to talk about RStudio 3 track maps. It's the subtopic being understanding how they work for you. There's a we wanted to make sure that everybody understands how much of a core the track maps are, how important certain things are about them. Emiliano is going to go through a lot of that. We're going to have some discussion back and forth, and for those of you that are watching on YouTube later, the presentation that we're working off of, if you go down into the description box below, sometimes it's collapsed. If you click on show more, there'll be a link for a PDF of the presentation. There's going to be a lot of slides we're going to look at, and a lot of information. So you might want to have that and be able to download that and take a look at it as we go. So I appreciate you coming again, Emiliano. This is back to back for Emiliano. We just did an update on RStudio 3 analysis last week, and we're going to have Emiliano here talking about track maps and how important they are, and a lot of the work that goes in behind the scenes. So we do appreciate him being here. We're not going to go through the introduction screen, other than he's been around AIM for quite some time. This is his 13th time of co-hosting with us, mostly software, but he's also helped us do the sim racing introduction of AIM, using the sim racing, providing data for a lot of the sim racing packages that output their data, and being able to view it in RStudio. So he's been here a lot. He's been not only on top of all the presentations, but he's been here for almost every single webinar as well, in the background, answering questions as we go as well. So really appreciate you being here, Emiliano. It's more help than you know. So I do appreciate it.
It's a pleasure for me to be here again. Welcome everybody. What to say? This webinar was prepared in very few hours, so maybe Roger will be helping me if in case I get lost on the presentation. But anyway,
with no problem. We always will work through all the issues. What we want to really talk about, it's 4 or 5 kind of important things, and one of them to start this off with is track updates, and track updates, how important they are, because a lot of the core of how RStudio 3 works, how it creates laps, how the data loggers work with the tracks, how RStudio 3 works with the data, is all built around these tracks. So just one slide here on talking about updating and track updates.
Yeah, in the recent years, we went making the word of the tracks and the word of the analysis more and more integrated, and as well for the devices. Tracks are getting a lot of importance inside the AIM world. We have since some years man working on the tracks on the AIM tracks database. We continuously get it improving. We can constantly add the new maps from all over the world. We add the configuration. We tweak tracks when they are not perfect, in order to guarantee our users the possibility to have always the best maps that is possible to have on the device. Track maps means start finish line, means possibly some splits lines, and a driven line on the track. Tracks are normally built by us upon users' data. Tracks are built by us using data coming from the devices. As a matter of fact, when you connect a device like a Solo or a Micron 5 to your RStudio 3 for downloading data, the device together with the data if it's running on a track. It's running on a circuit, and that circuit is not in the track database. It stores the driven line of a single lap, and it saves that driven line for analysis directly on the device. When you connect to the RS3, those driven lines are downloaded to the RS3, and you are asked if you want to share them with AIM. Many people select upload to AIM server in order to share those tracks with us, and we go analyzing all the tracks that come to us in order to decide if to add them to database. Very often we keep the driven line that comes to us. Sometimes we tweak it a little bit using Google Earth, and then it's published on our server. The publish procedure on the server adds for every single track also the time zone information and the DST information for every single state in the world. What happens when you upload the track to a device? The device can use those information, DST and time zone, to show you the correct timing of every single event, and this shows the importance of constantly keeping up to date the database on the RS3, and to upload, to verify, to have uploaded on the device all the most recent track maps for every track you race on.
You can imagine there's in our track database we have close to 5,000 track configurations, and these are always being tweaked and adjusted and worked on by the tracks themselves, and then we get data, and who is it? Julian that is working
Julian.
with you. Julian does a tremendous amount of work, and I know that I have created tracks and filled them out to the best of my ability. I mean, addresses and web and all of these things. And then a day later, I see it pop, and I send it in, and I try to do as much work to save him some time. And then I send it in, and it comes back, and he has tweaked it and grabbed a newer logo, and does just a fantastic job. So keep that in mind. Please keep sending them in. This is a very important part of what we do here. So perfect.
Absolutely.
Track updates. There's like I mentioned, screen capture of my own computer that I updated. Emiliano did put a screen capture in there. I've selected the track near my house here. Sure. But 4,936 currently on my machine just gives you an idea of how many years and years of creating, refining, grabbing this data. Huge variety of racetracks. You see just what we're looking at here. There's drag strips, there's ovals, there's dirt ovals, there's paved ovals, there's road courses, kart tracks.
Absolutely, yes.
Very huge variety, and we're just very proud of having this complete, very complete database.
And what we normally do with the tracks database, we normally ship all our devices with all the tracks already included into the device. So when you get your device, you get it with the most up-to-date tracks that are available
at that time.
At that time, yes, absolutely. This is of absolutely no problem for the device in recognizing the tracks. I sometimes receive emails or feedbacks about people worried to load so many tracks on the device. It's absolutely no worry, because it's a quick search for it to identify the correct one. There are There is, I think, one only exception, and we are going to see it in a second. And there is a solution, and this webinar is being done right for explain solutions to these small peculiar cases in which some users find difficulties. So we can I think we can move to the next slide. Okay, how to update the track database. Okay, as I wrote here, the track map icon gets a red notification icon when some new tracks are available, and here selecting import in this in this pop-up menu, you can perform the import. Normally it's not being done automatically, because if it happens, because we integrated analysis and track database in one piece of database. So two parallel writing operation on the database are kind of dangerous, and so we preferred to let the user choose when to update the track or when to maybe import the data, or maybe when to work with the analysis. As most of the operation are being performed in background, we just wanted to allow people for a better control on the software. So this is the reason for which the import is to be triggered by hand.
And I have found that, you know, this logo here, this icon shows 36 tracks were updated, and we're talking, if you click on import new tracks available from the AIM server, it is a 7, 8, 10-second operation to download them, install it, and click on the OK button. It is not a very time-consuming thing. So hopefully, whenever you see that, if you just, while you're connected to the internet, of course, is the only time you'll see it, is just go ahead and click on it and do it, right? And just allow that to stay up, so you're not at the track sometime and you wish you had that, you know, that update. One other question while we're at this point, Emiliano, when people were brand new computer, you download and you install RStudio 3, it does not come with the tracks downloaded as part of that, right? You have to do one first initial.
To do this once.
Yes.
The very first operation will be to download the tracks.
And that one does take a while. So if you have a new computer and
it takes less than 1 minute, I think.
Oh, okay. So it used to take, depending on your internet speed, obviously, but when you're downloading that almost 5,000 tracks, that can take a little bit longer. So if you put RStudio 3 onto your laptop for the first time, while you're at home before you head to the hotel or on your cellular Wi-Fi at the track, you might want to connect it to the internet and make sure you upload all the maps. So,
yeah.
Okay. Let's see, time zone and daylight savings time.
Yeah, as I said, these information are being used by the device to set automatically time and data while using it. It normally happens when you are when you are switching your device on and you are at the track. And if you are not at the track, it happens because the device automatically selects, it gets the time zone and the DST information from the closest track available. Given the fact that we have 5,000 tracks in the world, I think the device can adjust the time and data almost everywhere. Everywhere you can switch it on. If the device is not featuring the correct information from a track, you can go into its menu and correct the time and the time by yourself. But if it's featuring an information from a track, it's getting that one, and you don't need to perform any operation on the device. As I already told, these slides reminds everybody of the importance of downloading the track updates. And as I said, it's no problem to send a lot of tracks into to the device because it will recognize the correct one very easily.
It's
There is an exception, and it's a thing I would like to speak in just 1 second, because there are tracks in which there are a lot of possible configurations, and in these cases the device can be in a bit of a difficulty. Say, I think the most extreme of these cases is Button Willow in California. It has taking from the website, it has a kind of a 97 possible configuration, and because it's roughly 45, 46, but they all can be run both clockwise and counterclockwise. So it's 90, 96 and 97 total.
in the AIM track database storage or thought process. It's a huge number of tracks.
They all are in the AIM database, and they are in the database. When we find the similar tracks like this with multiple configuration, we try to give every single configuration the name that's available from track website. So to keep it intuitive to select the correct one. What to say? Okay, I was just getting lost.
No problem. The one thing that one thing I do want to cover a little bit more before we go to the next slide, which I think we start what you were talking about. You mentioned it. You can send all or many tracks from your Race Studio 3 database to your AIM device. I'm a good example of maybe not doing this the right way, and
no problem.
My process always has been is I'm getting ready to go to name the track, right? And I go on to the data logger on, at the race shop or the night before the race or whatever, and I take all my tracks off and I put the track on that I'm going to run. And that's just an old habit that I've had. And one of the interesting things that you and I chatted about as we were preparing for this was you could have the 100 tracks on your data logger on the AIM device, and because it knows where it's at, it automatically filters out all of the stuff that's outside of like 5 kilometers of where the AIM data logger is. The only thing that takes extra time is if Button Willow or Willow Springs, or there's a few tracks, New Jersey Motorsports Park, where they have 3 or 4 configurations, even a couple of different tracks at that particular spot. That's the only part that takes the milliseconds to actually for it to figure out, right? So you are more than probably wise to go ahead and say, okay, where am I racing this year? And take and slide those 14 or 15 tracks that are all of the tracks that are in your area and put them on your device and just leave them there. Keep them updated if there's an update, but that certainly does not hurt the speed at all. And I just wanted to reiterate that. And that's a good process to follow as you're working with tracks and your AIM devices.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course. You have, if you want the device to operate with one only track, you can have the 2 solutions. You can, as you maybe do, send one only track to the device, or you can go into the device menu and manually select the track you are racing on. So in this case, it's I think it's the definition into the device menu is using a manual track, and you select which one it is, and from now on the device only uses the track you select. This is in this slide we show the variety of configuration that Button Willow offer to the racers. I think it's a great thing for a track to be like this. It's not a problem, and we manage it as the way we are we are introducing to you.
And the interesting thing is, Button Willow, it is my understanding that they've actually already began construction on an entirely second track on the facility. Yep. So this, not only do we have this, but they'll probably do the exact same kind of thing on that track. So this may double even, and it's a large number already. So
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Okay, so the one of the things I wanted to really do when we started this particular thought process of doing tracks and discussing the Race Studio 3 and tracks is the problems that we're running into, or you guys as users that are out there working with these things. You download some data and it doesn't work, right? Unrecognized track. We wanted to talk about the solutions for some of those. So Emiliano put together a couple of things using, ironically enough, Button Willow because of they run so many different tracks. Emiliano, talk about when you download some data and walk us through what it might look like when it's not working correctly.
Yes, absolutely. Just an introduction I would like to do. Looking at this presentation, it looks like Race Studio is not working ever. Yeah, but we know we have some corner cases that stimulate our software, and we are illustrating the solutions now. And these solutions that I'm showing here are one of the reasons for which we are still in beta. We wanted to improve our software a little bit, and so maybe these will come automatically or with a better automation or a better user interface or user interaction for finding the solution before moving from a beta to a release. But we are kind of close. These, as you were saying, ironically, it's a session recorded in Button Willow, but it's a session recorded in one that is not in one configuration that is not in our database because it's not on their website. So perfectly legal to raise there. But when you import data, it looks like Race 3 is not recognizing the track, and as I said before, Race 3 is not able to compute the lap times. So all the laps are just in one, and when you open data, if you go to the next slide, you get a demonstration of it. All the laps are together. No worries. The solution is right behind the corner. You need to click the track map icon on top left. Okay, that's the icon. That's the icon to be clicked, and you are prompted a window in which you are shown which are all the possibilities. All the track configuration for that particular racing facility.
I want to cover this one more time just to make sure everybody watching this later, we're all going to run into this at some point. We either don't have the track in our track database, or it's a new track, or it's something went wrong, and we see our data that has all 6 laps here. The solution is to click on the track map. Before, it used to go in Race Studio 2 used to be go GPS lap insert, and you do this process, and it was everybody knew it. But here it's clicking on the track map icon. It'll open it up and it'll show you all of the different tracks that are in the Race Studio 3 track database. And in this particular case, it wasn't that one was bad or something was weird. This particular configuration was not included. I just wanted to kind of re-step through that, and we're going to walk you through solutions here. So I just want everybody to kind of keep up with where we are.
You can test all of them, and no one matches this data. Okay, exactly. No problem. You go on the very bottom of the list, like in the next slide. Okay, here you are at the very bottom of the list, and you are given the possibility to create a new track map. You just click the button, and you are driven into the track creation window that our users, I think, know very well. you create data is already loaded into the track creation window. You just need to fill the information about the state and the country and the state. This information, if you are connected to the internet while creating this track, this information should be populated automatically, because we go comparing our position with some web services that give us it's reverse geocoding. It gives us the address and the state of a specific track if you are connected. In case you are not, these information are being taken very likely from the closest track to this one. Otherwise, you just fill it by hand. You select the track properties, the track circuit type and road surface. You choose the beacon position using the two small arrows, right and left hand arrows there. You need to select a lap that closes. I think it's better you select a lap that closes rather well. This to help the analysis process. We're kind of making this automatic, but at the moment it has some backdraws, so we prefer users to do this. But in the future it can evolve. Then you click OK, and the map is added to the database. Okay, this is where I remind to select a lap, and in this case it was lap 12. Select a lap that whose start and finish points are rather close. As I told you, I repeat it. We are improving it to make it kind of automatic, but takes some coding at the moment. So when you click OK, the track map of your session is being created, and you just need to select it and click OK. When you click OK, as in the next slide, you are prompted a message that asks you if you want the map you just created to be used for all your sessions in that specific day, with that logger in that specific day. This because it's very likely that when you start racing on a track configuration one day, you will stay on that configuration for the whole day. And in this case, you need to answer yes. But if you just did a test run on a different configuration and you want a map created for that specific test run, you just click no, and this new track will be associated to only
that particular session. Yeah.
That particular session, yes, okay.
But almost everybody's going to click yes. Interestingly enough, and I think I saw Paul mentions that Button Willow 2 will be a single configuration. I was just, as you were talking, I was looking up here, and this is it's already showing up on Google Earth. I think they've even paved a little bit now, but you can see the dirt work was being done for the new track at Button Willow up here.
Yeah,
so, interesting. Okay, and now you've just clicked on OK at this particular slide, and first you said yes, and then you clicked on OK, and here is that same exact data file.
Yeah, okay. You don't need to reopen the session. It will be prompted to you with labs and with everything on exactly like if the track were being available. So this is how to solve this specific problem with the session. As you said, it can be a new track, it can be a track configuration that we are not having, and as soon as you click OK in the Windows in the track creation window, you are prompted to, if you want to share the track with AIM, if you flag yes, it will come to us, and then normally in 24 hours it will be it will be on our server.
Yeah, Julian
Normally.
does need to do a little bit of work. Just double check it. He always goes in there and looks at it
Yeah.
over, Google Earth and make sure that it wasn't just you out there running around like I do. Sometimes I, go
Yeah, we
into a
normally.
parking lot or something, right? And I don't want to send those tracks to the database.
Yeah, when we receive a lot of sessions, a lot of new tracks, driven lines on parking lots, and maybe inside towns. I know we have some dealers, Robbie,
Yeah.
I think, who
Yeah.
drives just around AIM USA
Yeah.
in California, in Lake Elsinore, but we try not to add it.
Exactly. And that's what Julian does all the time. So if you are not connected to the internet, when you do all of this, of course, there's no way that it's going to take off. So the next time you get home, or you have internet at the hotel that night, or you set up your Wi-Fi in your trailer, make sure you turn it on and allow that to be sent and move
or
on.
just I saw a question before of a customer who's asking us because he's creating a new dirt oval track, and he asked how to give us the information of his new track. Just run on it as soon as it is available, as soon as it is possible, with the Micron or with the Solo or with whatever you like. Send us data, and we can create the track for you. It's no problem.
Yeah. Okay. That is. Let me back up there to that slide. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this a little bit, but what we really want to do, and hopefully we gave you, that's the biggest question we get. And Emiliano tried to make the point that it seems like maybe we show all the problems with Ray Studio 3, but this is training, right? This is what we do. If we're only talking about the bad stuff because everything else is working, right? So don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. It is what it is. But this is a question that we've gotten quite a bit, and it works differently than it did in Ray Studio 2 with the GPS lap insert, at least as far as the buttons pushing. The end product is very, very similar, but with a bunch more power and a bunch more added steps as far as what AIM can do with that data by putting it into the database quickly. Where with GPS lap insert, it was just local for you. So we wanted to just give you the steps on how to solve a problem if you run into this. So that's what that was our goal here today.
I just saw a question from Bruce, who's asking, will a new track configuration upset the syncing of the Smarticam? No, if the track is missing on, I mean, the normal process should be to transmit the tracks you are racing on, both to the device and to the Smarticam. So the two devices can match their information.
Generally speaking, Bruce, if you didn't have the right track map, if you had no track map that was recognized in the logger while you were running, you're not going to get lap times on your Smarticam either. So when you figure this out in Ray Studio 3, then the next step obviously would be to go ahead and transmit that new graphical overlay for your Smarticam.
Yes, absolutely.
So it works perfectly next time as well.
And all our tracks feature a unique ID. And when in the AIM network, there is one only device who detects which is the track he's racing on, and it has every other device in the AIM network which is the correct track, sending the unique ID. So in case the Smarticam is not featuring all the tracks that are in maybe the MXR2 or in the Solo, the Smarticam will be showing no track, because it doesn't have the track with the correct unique ID. So this it's pretty reliable, I think. No worries.
A couple of things that are being discussed over there that I don't want to go into detail now, but Emiliano and I and many other people in Italy, no doubt, but have been discussing tracks that are not a circuit, right? Point to point that has been brought up over Hill Climb by Bob Seville is talking about. give us a little bit of time. That is something that is being worked on very hard, and we think we're fairly close to the
Yeah, we are.
Emiliano says we're
Yeah,
very close.
we are close. We have here in Europe. We have several customers in the rally world and in the hill climbs, and they constantly send us files and sessions to train our algorithm, and I think we are close to having a solution for them. I do think the same solution will apply for drifters and for solo racing, autocross. So they all will be within that category of point-to-point tracks.
Yeah. Another I think Matt Romanowski talked over there that his son created the Jackson International Raceway. Funny story, as I'll go to the next slide so you can start to prepare, Emiliano. I originally, and I sent it, I did a little test track outside in my outside in the roads around my house. I made a funny and named it, and I called it Caddell Raceway Auto Park, the acronym CRAP, and I didn't realize I had that little button on, and it left here, right? It went to Italy, and luckily it was the previous person to Julian, but they wrote me an email. Roger, I don't think this is we should be adding this to the to the database. So kind of a funny story. So make sure you send what you want to send. So the next thing we wanted to talk about though was a big piece of this track and the power of these tracks being so coordinated and working on making them as good as we can make them on not only on shape but lengths and updates and chicanes and all these different things is because this thing that we call smart synchronization.
Yep.
We get a few ideas, and we're going to show some of them here, comments from users. One came in yesterday, and then that's why we're adding these slides. It talks about how we handle the alignment of the data. And Emiliano, maybe you can explain a little bit on Race Studio 2 versus Race Studio 3 and how lap A and lap B of these two different forms of motorsports software.
Yeah, it's an eternal problem of data acquisition when you compare data coming from two different laps. If you use lap time as a graph base, sure, you will almost never have two times with two laps with the same time. If you move into distance, your chances are higher, but they are not 100%.
Not everybody drives the same line around the track two times in a row, right?
Absolutely, that's the reason. So what Race Studio 2 did was to taking the total distance run in a lap in 2 laps, and it stretched the distance in order to feature the same length, stretching the whole plot into the distance base, into the time distance view. This it's normally a good. It was good for those times, for the computation power of those machines, and it gave us I think good results in many cases. There, when you apply an algorithm, you always find a corner case, and the corner case for the Race Studio 2 analysis was what's in the next slide. Was 2 laps in which the differences were concentrated in say few corners in this track that is counterclockwise. The first 2 corners, that this one and the one that's following is that one. Okay, these differences are concentrated mostly there and also in the straight line. And that implies that these differences are stretched all along the lap, generating what I call a small issue in the braking zone at the end of that straight line, exactly where the cursor are. If we go into the next slide, we can see the differences. Exactly in that braking zone, you can see that that the two lines are kind of separate. They are not perfectly one over the previous one.
So you have the decision you have to make. This is Ray Studio 2, the way we used to do it. And so as a data analysis person, I would look at this and you have to make a decision. Did the red lap actually just go deeper into the corner and hit the brakes later and roll through, or is there some sort of a discrepancy here? And what I always did is immediately do what you've done here, which is open up the GPS map. And if I go back one slide, you can see here even better. This is showing the effect of what you're talking about. And I just want everybody, if you're using Ray Studio 2, to whenever you see something like this, then I would sometimes go to the snap mode and fix this, right? Fix by misaligning just a little bit, aligning the two X's on top of each other. Then you can trust, really trust that. Often this is big. This is a big change. This is bigger than we normally would ever see. But
yeah, absolutely. And it's due to the fact that all the differences are concentrated in the first corners.
Yeah.
And normally this is not a deal for what I saw in some pro users using Ray Studio 2 analysis. They normally move into switch off, and they align manually the two braking zones. So to compare the two braking styles of two different drivers, or from the same driver in two different laps. So it's not a deal, but I think that the difference is can be a result of a mistake in the algorithm. And if we move into the Ray Studio 3 way to align or to sync data, I think we did something better. Say the gray one is a track line, and this is taken by the track map of our database. And they say you have two different laps. How do we align two laps into a single line, into a single abscissa, into the track plot of the time distance view? We normally take the perpendicular to every point of the track map. I say every point of the track map, but indeed it's every roughly 10 meters, so it can be 29 to 28 feet roughly. We can go with the lower distances, but we saw that this is I think a good point, a good balance between computation power and effectiveness of the synchronization. And as a result, if we go into the next slide, comparing the same two laps taken into the Ray Studio 2 using this time Ray Studio 3 in the next slide, we can okay, you see the laps are exactly the same, with the main differences in the first corners. It's the same data set. And if we go ahead of another slice, you see that into Ray Studio 3 the synchronization is I think it's better this way to compare. And this way to sync data using a comparison between the GPS driven line and the GPS track map line allows us to cover also the cases in which you have very big of a mistake into a single corner, or in case of a wreckage, as few webinars, no, I mean not few, a few webinars ago, we did
accident reconstruction, accident analysis, right?
Exactly. This works, in my opinion, works better. What's the main implication of this? The main implication is in time compare. Time compare done in RStudio 2 into RStudio 3 can give you different results. If we think for just a second how it was the RStudio 2 way, was using the distance computed upon speed. So imagine a single corner in which you have a driver that's racing on the outside and is faster than another races, but doing a longer distance. Into the RStudio 2 analysis, you can have a result that is not exactly the same in RStudio 3. Aside, I mean, as I wrote here, we have two different approaches, and every single approach has its own errors. We fixed a lot of problems when comparing to RStudio 2 in RStudio 3, but here I'm presenting a case in which it is a case of a misaligned data, and in this case RStudio 3 now has some effects, and we can show the differences between RStudio 2 and RStudio 3 in this way of doing time compare. I think you have to go ahead by one slide, and this slide is taken I took this from RStudio 3. You can see kind of transparent the track map line, and in red and green the two different lines. Say just on the bottom, on the very bottom of the track, that corner. Okay, you can see here that the red lap is the first one who follows at the very beginning, and the corner entry. The red lap is the first one who follows the track map, and it will have an advantage into the time compare because it's the first in the right way, in the right direction. In the corner exit, the green lap will take the advantage on the red lap, and they kind of cross each other in advantage or disadvantage for the very first part of the time compare plot. And this is normal with this approach, and the solutions are or to move into a better GPS that very likely is less affected by misalignment, or to wait for a little bit that we kind of improve our way to realign data in RStudio 3. We have been reluctant till now to modify data, to modify any data. We want to use data as they are and show them on the plot. This data should be recorded 2 years ago with the previous generation GPS. So it's in my experience, they are every day less and less, sure. But in case they happen, we will front them. That's for sure.
In case just to kind of restate that every once in a while you get these shifts, right? And mm-hmm. Kyle is mentioning it in his question over here. And yep. Kyle, it's funny that you brought that up because right after you said it, we started to chat about it. But this is the only, and Emiliano's being very transparent, and he starts talking about how this is the one instance that RStudio 3 is struggling with right now. But he is the software team and Emiliano are working on ways yep. of making sure that this, number one, it's going to get better and we're going to have less and less of these shifts. But RStudio 3 is he's also trying to trap these errors and make RStudio 3 work well with this kind of data as well.
Yeah, for sure. And this is one of the reasons for which we are still in beta, as I said. But
yeah. And we wanted to these two data sets came into us just in those last 4 or 5 days, and through Robinson, I think, from our Roanoke office, and the user was saying, boy, I opened it up in Ray Studio 2 and my time compare looks like this, and I opened it up in Ray Studio 3 and my time compare has a totally different feel. And all you have done in the last few slides is number one, talk about why this is happening with the exact same data set. So if anybody is doing that, you may see a little bit of this, but in 99% of the time, we expect that Ray Studio 3 is giving you the better answer. The only time that it's not right now is if you have this data shift of the entire lap being off.
It will improve. It will improve.
And even that 1% will be fixed here shortly.
I saw a question from Kyle Chatham, who was I think he was the first with a feedback of this kind on Ray Studio 3. We improved. We used his feedback to improve because he found a bug inside the computation process. We improved it, but there are cases like this in which there is still some job to do. Very unlucky cases, very unlikely cases, but there is some.
We have so many different data sets you're throwing out. This Matt mentions over in the chat box that at first it kind of threw him for a loop, seeing some of it, just the way it works is sometimes how it presents the data is a little bit different than maybe what we've been used to. But once you understand it and let it do its thing, it is actually a better way of and more accurate way of giving us information. So. And the big one to me, and I started off with this whole thing is this distinction of when in the old Ray Studio 2 way of doing it, we would have to, let me go back to that original slide, when you would see these differences, and if you're really struggling, you really want to focus on the analysis of that braking zone, you have to make sure that they were aligned correctly. So you would look at the GPS and you would make sure. And now in Ray Studio 3, that is a task that I am no longer having to do. If I really want to pick any spot on the track and pick these areas, unless it's a really wacky shifted data set, that whole thing of hitting the snap button and having to really align all of this, that's in the past. Ray Studio 3 handles that so much better.
It's effective now. It's
very,
working
very
beautifully.
good.
Yeah, I think so.
Very good. And all of that ties together with the video, syncing, sure. Right? That's the main reason that some of this was done was because if a driver was sitting right here and here, we wanted the video frame to be exactly in the right spot, right? Perpendicular to each other in the radius. And all of that has grown into what you've done here.
Yeah, data and video frame are matched against the time and position. So they are where they are supposed to.
Yeah, which is what all this was all based around. So let me jump back to where we were. Anything else you'd kind of like to add there? There is a couple of questions, and I think you started to hit upon it. Kyle asks, where do splits come from? When the track, I'm going to answer it first. You help me if it needs it. But when you build a new track, Kyle, let's say you go to a track that is not in our database, somebody else has done that before you on everything. It's already in there, obviously. You've built the splits, and then we add it to the track database. If those splits are not where you like, you and I didn't read this totally through, but you tried adding splits. But if you have the latest beta, and it's been working pretty darn well for me, you can go up and you can, in the time distance mode or anywhere you see the splits, you can just go up there and either right click and merge segments or divide segments, or just drag and put the splits where you want, and then that is saved at that point on your machine. And from then on, if data coming from that track and that serial number, it's going to apply that track map and those splits to it in the future. Is that the way that it works, Emiliano?
Yeah, is that the way? But
yeah, if Kyle's having trouble, we need to chat. So,
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. No problem to chat. There are two kinds of splits. The first kind of split is the splits that you create when you create the track map. Those splits are up to 5, and you can transmit them to your device, and you can have your device
hard splits,
showing
as
you.
we
Yeah,
call
it's hard splits. Okay, and the device will be showing the split times while you're racing. And there are analysis splits. They can be unlimited virtually. They can be a lot, for sure more than 5, and you
Yes,
can define as well as the hard splits. You can define them and place them where you like, and you can have the analysis using the track map selection window. You can within the same track you can save different splits division, and among those you will find, if any, the split division taken by the track map. So you can switch from one to the other one for your split compare, for your time plot, whatever.
yeah, some people like those hard coded splits and be able to even send those into the car, into the race vehicle, and do predictive lap timing based in the segments, right? So
Yeah.
nowadays, and forever, AIM's predictive lap timing on board has been so good that I've never seen the reason to do it inside of segments. You could see the, the overall gives you the information that most drivers want, but some people like that. So all good. And then of course, then you build your own splits in time, Emiliano. If and this is just discussion at this point. I have no idea what the answer to this is, but do we begin to reflect less splits, or the way more people want to create splits in the original track maps that are stored on the server in Race Studio 3?
I think I missed what you mean.
I think a lot of people are starting to go, at least from training from this webinar, different coaches we've had come in and talk about and creating track maps with splits, a lot less splits than what the tracks come out with. And sometimes we'll have 20 splits at VIR or something, right? When do we begin to change the splits that are based in the tracks that are stored on the server?
No, the splits you change are stored locally in your PC, so you can they stay there.
Okay,
They
so
stay there. They
so
are
there's
not.
okay, so when we first download, if I were to travel to a track that I've never been at, and I use the track map from Portland, in my case, right? That's close to me. And then there's a whole bunch of splits when I first open up my first data set. Those splits have been created locally, they have not come from the track that has been come from Race Studio 3
Absolutely
track.
yes.
Okay.
Absolutely yes. And you can export if you create splits on your machine. They will stay in your machine unless you export them and import into another one. So you can share splits divisions if you like.
So then what about and I see Kyle over there talking about the auto splits that are just way too many for him and some other people I've heard that from as well. Is there a way to adjust the software in the future, not talking about something we do today, but that maybe we'll begin to reflect that and not do that? Or do you just basically do it on laterals and longitudinal Gs?
We already chatted a little bit about it. Now we use only the corners, the
lateral forces.
No, we don't use dynamics. We use only geometry to divide splits. So it's only corner radius that triggers the starting or the finish of a split at the moment. This because the track creation is rather separate from data from the devices, and so the dynamic is not available in the place where we created the splits. And using geometry, the splits that the RS2 analysis creates can be the same for all the tracks. While if you use dynamics, every car will have his own splits, because say the braking zones, they are different per every
Certainly.
type of car. So a Formula car
Okay.
has some splits, and touring car has different ones. So we at the moment we leave these creation to our customer, but they will stay. So they will not be deleted by a track update. They will not be
Perfect. Okay.
Once you create them, they will stay there.
So the working process really is you go to a new track, or you haven't you've gone to a faster car or whatever, create those splits on your laptop based on data from that that track and that data logger. And once you create them, from then on, you will have those splits available to you. You can have different just like in the past, we could have different track maps with different splits. You can do the same thing now and have them named. And then you can also export those and share those with your people racing in your class, or people you share data with, so everybody is sharing the same thing. So okay,
I see a couple of questions that I would like to answer.
let me take care of the first one first, and then I'll hand you the BZM31 one. Kyle, we you probably wrote that before and I didn't glance up there, but we about 8 or 10 slides ago we talked about that smart sync data, and the same exact syncs are going to work with the SmartyCam side, and how that the video and the data work together. So I think we've already covered that. Watch back on the video if you missed it. Emiliano, the last two before we call it a day.
Just quick answers. Custom split export import is not working. He is right. It will work in the beta we are releasing. It was partly buggy and partly hidden, but the end result is that it was not working. It is right now, and it will be in the next beta. And where in RS3 are these files stored? They're not stored into the RS3 folder, because they are into the database. The AMSS file is created only during the export, and used during the import. So you will not be finding those files into the RS3 folder.
And BZM31, I believe, but it would be my guess is you were the one that sent me the email with that problem, and I forwarded it to Emiliano. Sounds like he's got it fixed in the next beta, so you should have that resolution soon.
We did.
Perfect. A couple of things I just wanted to share as we're kind of going out. I've been watching the chat a little bit. You mentioned autocross point-to-point stuff. Bruce was mentioning over there that he's been successful at getting somewhat successful, I think is the term he used. But Bruce, we're working very hard on that to get the autocross side to work a lot better, any of the point-to-point stuff. So
we're close.
I did want you to mention that I did see those notes, and we do look at the chat record later, and we will make sure we cover that fairly soon. A lot going on the poor software team and Emiliano's hands, and I keep pulling him in to do webinars. So all good.
No problem.
We'll try to leave him alone and do that. As we kind of close this up, if you would look at Tim's question there, Emiliano, as I start to get ready to close this up.
There's another question from Tim. If you create the splits using the track map creation window, those splits are available on all our devices from Excel to on. So it's for all of them.
Okay, let's kind of close this one up. We just a couple minutes long. We did good. We covered a lot of information, and I was afraid that it was going to be so much that we were going to struggle getting it all done, but we did. You did a very good job. This one here, within an hour or so, it just takes a while to turn the video into a YouTube video configuration. So it takes me a while, but as soon as I get it up there, this video will join all the rest of ours. Currently, this will make number 183 up on our YouTube site. So go visit there. There's just all of our webinars plus tons of other information is up there. Go there. Just a wealth of knowledge that has been stored up in there for you. we're a customer support company that happens to sell racing electronics, as we like to say. This was we have folks out there racing still this time of year. We're out there, all of our guys. I know most of our tech guys traveled last weekend, even this late into the year. I'm up here in Washington State, so I look at it and go, the season's over, but the rest of the country is way different than that. So look for us out there. If you see us, if you're at an event and we're not there, there's an 800 number that you can call. That's the best way to get support, and we look forward to helping everybody. The next week, somebody that I've been wanting to get on here for quite some time. I know he's such a busy guy that that when we did our racing, we did a series where we had racing coaches, and I was watching him on Facebook, and I knew that he was swamped, and I chose not to bother him at that point. But somebody I've been wanting to get with us is Ed Zabinski. He's a professional racing coach. He's coached some of the best guys in the business at all different levels. He's a two-time SCCA national champion as a driver, 5 or 6 times as a team manager and coach. Just a ton of experience. Happens to be from up here in the state of Washington as well, living I think now in Atlanta, if I recall. But Ed is very, very good at what he does, and I wanted to have him on, and he's going to come join us next week, and really looking forward to chatting with him. He has just so much experience in data, video coaching, and times maybe when you don't want to use it. We've chatted a little bit about some of the stuff he's going to talk about, and he wants to even cover a little bit of when do you start to introduce video, and then when do you start to introduce data, and his experience with that. So that'll be great. Looking forward to chatting with Ed next week. He's a big player in this game, so looking forward to that. Some contact information about if you're looking have some additional questions that we didn't get to cover today. There's the software team's email address. My email address is there as well. A couple things: if you are working with Race Studio 3 beta and you have some questions, there is the feedback button in the in the software. Go ahead and push that. If that either doesn't work or you're more comfortable by plugging it all into an email, software@aimsportline.com is the email that you must send it to. I'm happy to also get it, but if you send it to me, I just turn right around and I'll do my best to answer it. But I include software at AIM Sportline as well. They're compiling all of the questions, all the comments, and it helps them prioritize what they're working on. So any correspondence that we have regarding Race Studio 3 analysis, make sure you include that software address. Appreciate that very much. Perfect. Emiliano, again, thank you for coming. Is there anything else you'd kind of like to add as we kind of close this one up?
It's me who has to thank you for having created this beautiful way to interact with our users, our customers, our friends, and I think AIM Sports leads in this. I very often say that to my colleagues here, that I think you're the best. Thank you.
All of our
guys. Thank you for having me here.
Appreciate you very much. A lot of work is being done in the back to have these continue on every single week, and it's much appreciated by all of the co-hosts and all of my my co-workers here that put so much effort into it as well, and guys like you. Emiliano's been to almost every one of them. So thank you again, everybody, for being here today. Thanks all of you watching on YouTube. Thank you again, Emiliano. Looking forward to chatting with Ed in a week on next Tuesday. Thanks everybody, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.